All right, guys, welcome to the CESA community. Hello, okay, good. Good evening, good morning. Welcome to the CESA community first event. My name is Joshua, and this is the first event we'll be having as a community. If you don't know about it, this is a community that we've been putting together for a while, and it's just a community that does things differently. Welcome to our first event, and we are going to be discussing a very, very important topic that we believe is going to help you scale and grow and scale and improve your journey, basically. Whether you're in your first year in tech or whether you are in you started tech or before or you just trying to figure your way out, this conversation is definitely going to help you. Before we get started, really, I would love to do a few things. That is just talk about a bit about the community. Before we have our speaker come on board to have a conversation with us, and that is what exactly the community is about, and how the community can impact and help you. There are several things we're going to say along the way that you will understand, but let me just give you a brief intro to the community and what it is, so you kind of get where we're coming from and how we hope to help and what sets us apart. Chelsea Community started as a starting as an idea that we can do things in a fun way. We can create a community that is fun, that helps people scale and grow, get access to opportunities, and also discuss things that relate to their current degrees. So the urge was really about you are a computer engineer. How many computer engineering seniors do you know in the industry? Do you have access to them? Do you have conversations with them? Tech is not honestly only about writing React and writing JavaScript. There's several other nitty gritty things that we might not be seeing over the surface. And that is the thing that CESA community is hopefully going to be helping with. So there are several things we want to discuss around that, but let's just get started with the event. Our speaker is around. All right, so the person we brought to you today is he has been a community person for a very long time. He's been into open source. He has a community he has founded called Aquadisha, and that's a community that is helping people with their technical growth. And it's a wonderful community. Is passionate about helping people and getting people started in tech. So, welcome, Aniket. You can start into the screen. Hey, Aniket. So,
I'm good. Thanks a lot,
hello.
Joshua, for having me.
All right, welcome. Okay, so when I first came across your profile, I think we spoke about this at the end. It was when we had the call. I was like, I saw your profile and was like, okay, you seem like the right person to come and talk to us about what to do in our first year in tech. You had several, like say, titles and qualifications that meant that you must have been doing something really right from the very early, and we would love to have that knowledge passed across to us. Okay, so take us away, blow us away. You have the floor.
Okay. So yeah. So before we start, so hello everyone. Thanks a lot for joining in. Uh, I am Aniket.
All right.
Currently, I am an undergrad at NIT Rourkela, which is one of the top colleges in India. And I worked a lot to get in to the university, which I am currently reading. And I am in my final year, so I have been around 4 years into the tech industry, wherein I have worked with around 20 organizations. I have also been a Google Summer of Code mentee, and this year I am also Google Summer of Code mentor. I've also worked with Barclays UK, which is one of the largest bank in UK and one of the largest in the world, as a SWE intern. Along with that, was one of the GitHub extern with Nemocity, wherein I have explored, working around the electric vehicles SaaS solutions. and also I have been an MLH fellow. So in the process, I met a lot of folks, and I realized that community and open source, when combined, can help you reach to the heights that is not possible to reach without having the things entangled. So yeah, that's about me. And today, I will be talking about what you should do in your first year of college. So I met Joshua because he was in like I am a mentor in a particular organization this year, and I guess he was exploring the particular organization, and he hit me up in Slack like, hey Aniket, do you want to speak up in a community event which I am organizing? I'm like, okay, I'm cool, I'm down with it. So to be honest, I have not planned a lot for this, but I will be sharing mostly the learnings which I have over the years, right? And so, should I start
Yeah.
with Joshua? If you want to add something, you can add, or should I directly jump to what I've thought of?
Uh, I think you can take us away. We are ready to be impacted. Just do your thing.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Yeah.
so firstly, talking about myself, I belong from a very small town, and yesterday I was talking to Joshua, and what I realized is the problems that he and most of you are facing were the same that I faced during my time. So when I say I belong to a small town or a small city in India, so I had never read computer science or related or anything in my course curriculum. So it was the first time when I went to the university, and I was just seeing folks talking about computer science, programming, coding, graphic designing, technical content. So all those things were buzzwords, and I had no idea where to start from. And the first question which I had was, should I actually go for it? So having the mix of both the things, and it was a pretty confusing thing at the start because I was not sure because I've never explored the segment, and it seemed that a lot of folks are way ahead. People who are coming from big cities or have financially pretty rich, they used to have computers. So the first time I had my personal computer, that is my laptop, that was when I came to my university. But were a lot of folks who just started in their university, or like back in their high school, and some even started way before that. So initially, I was pretty scared. So to be very honest, I did nothing in my first year. So to escape from everything, I joined a drama club. So in the drama club, I was acting. I did a lot of stage plays. I did a lot of street plays. I did a lot of mime acts. So yeah, those were the major things which I was doing. But what changed was because I realized that that was good for me while I was enjoying. But at the end of the day, we need to survive, and for survival, the most important thing is money. And working as an actor and in India or something similar has huge challenges. And I also know my talent does not has those capabilities for me becoming an actor sort of a thing. So I shifted to, I would say, a different path which was more interesting to me, and that was starting with programming. And that's something Joshua told me to talk about today. So I will be telling you guys how you can start your journey and why you should start your journey, right? So Joshua, in case you have, in the process any questions which you have, you might just stop me. We can just discuss in that, and then we can move forward. Else, I can just go on.
Yeah. I think yeah. That one thing I noticed there. One thing I've been able to pick up from what you've been saying is you said you've tried lots of things when you first started when you were in college, your first year. You said you were in drama club and a lot of things. So I want you to talk about that. Why were you like exploring several things? Like, is that like a strategy that you use, or is there an end goal in mind? Just checking things out.
Yeah, so majorly it was I don't know how to dance. I don't know how to sing. So seniors told me, if you don't know
Okay.
both the things, join drama club, and that is something you can do because that's what we do. We don't need a proper dancer or a proper singer, but we need someone who is confident. And
Yeah.
when I came to college, the thing which I lacked the most was confidence. So from the drama club, that is something I was able to speak with people, and I was being at least comfortable in speaking. So yeah, that's how it worked for me. So I was exploring a lot of segments, and then I jumped into coding. So to be very honest, I started coding in my second year, that is my third semester. So I started post waiting for 1 year, but now I wish if I would have started early, things would have been a bit more exciting for me because when I started, I really started liking the process. you know Talking of that, uh, that is the computer world, and anything that talks with binaries is very different from what we normally do. When we are talking to people, like personally I believe as a person, it is difficult for me to talk with people, understand them. But if, when it is a computer, it is pretty easy for you, because if you just write 1 plus 1, it will be always 2. So you did not handle with emotions. So working with your computer and building things became easier for me. So that's why I started focusing more on this particular segment. And so how I started, and currently the feeling what I have for this is way more, because recently I also started YouTube, and I also had a feeling of giving back to the community, right? So those were the major things. So now, as a beginner, like Joshua mentioned, most of the people who are watching this are someone who are in the freshman year, and who are just confused, as I was in back, like when I was 3 years back in my university. And I guess you are in the same position where I was. So first thing is, how you should start. So generally, if you want to get into the IT industry, there can be three things uh, which you can do. So, firstly, you can join the IT industry as a software developer, like wherein you will be writing a lot of code. Secondly, you can join as a UI UX developer, UI designer, or a graphics designer, wherein you can help designing the beautiful products. Like if you are using an iPhone or if you're using Mac, the product which is designed by a UI UX designer. If you know about Airbnb, so Airbnb, the startup when like in which you can book your anyone, like hotel booking or personal spaces can be rented by any traveler. So the particular startup was developed by a UI UX designer. So if you are a UI UX designer, it is not something that you cannot build a tech startup, right? And thirdly, technical content writing. So personally, I have earned a lot of money via technical content, because initially when I started, I had no idea that with writing blogs I can earn money. But when time progressed and I started having clients, I earned a lot of money. So according to me, these are the majorly three things which anyone can start exploring. But for any of the three things, before you explore, the first thing is you should understand how a machine works. And generally, when I'm saying of machines, I'm not saying of how a induction motor starts or how a fan start rotating. It's not that. You should understand how basic things in computer works, like how whenever you're writing a program, what occurs. So to understand what and how to start coding, uh, the best course which I have been using or I have personally learned from is Harvard's CS50. I will be sharing the resource links with Joshua, and maybe he can just share that with you folks, and you can just use them. So now, like you can just follow on the resources. Maybe I can just give you one by one all those things, and you can move forward. But now the thing is, the best part with now you learn basics of coding, right? Yes, you have learned a bit of data structure algorithms. So anyone who is starting in tech, be it anything you want to go, right? Like be it you want to be a web developer, you want to be app developer, or you want to do anything you want to. But the first thing which I suggest every junior of mine and everyone is starting out is learn data structure algorithms and go slow. You can find that a lot of people around you might be saying that, hey, I learned these things when I was a kid. So don't be foolish. Don't do all these things. This is so boring, sort of thing. But go slow, go at your own pace, and start doing things one by one. So once you do data structure algorithms, the main, or the one of the best channels in YouTube which I have found is Fireship.io. So you can just share the link, maybe Joshua. You can just search for Fireship.io. So this is the particular channel. When I started out in tech, I was confused. I didn't knew like that should I start with web or should I start with app or should I start with what? I had no idea. So I started watching Fireship.io's video, and in the particular video, the person actually makes you understand any concept in just 100 seconds. So I kept on watching his 100-second videos, and ultimately I found what I needed to do. So this is how you can start your coding journey. First learn data structure algorithm from any of the resource. I can provide you some of the resource. You can choose from them, or even you can start reading some books and you can go for that. And post that, I would suggest watch Fireship IO. So, Joshua, this is for me, like, how anyone can start their coding journey. Maybe, if you have anything next in the segment, we can talk about. Maybe if you want to ask.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. Someone was asking a question where you were talking that how would you advise a techie to manage his tech growth and not fail in sport? Because, and I think this is the right time to just pop up that question because you said you had to explore and try out new things. How did you balance that with your tech, even though you know that this is your first year in college?
Okay, so this is one of the mostly I was asked this particular question. Like a lot of folks ask me because even when I started out, it was really difficult to manage college academics because I always had the fear like if I work more on the software side, I will be failing in my college academics, and if I work more on my college academics, I will not get a no any job or any opportunity. So balancing both of them is one of the most difficult part. So to solve the question, I made one particular video which I will be sharing right away, and maybe folks you can just check that out. And because I understand this is one of the mostly asked questions, so I will be sharing the link and maybe over here. So yeah, you can just check this out. Because I was
Okay.
talking with some folks in Meta and Google, and I asked them the same questions. Okay, hey, like when you were in university and now you are a good coder, so how were you able to manage both of the things? Because the particular person was maintainer of React.js project, and he was working full time in Meta, and along with he was also a freelance video editor. So he was managing a lot of things, and even he said that when he was in his university he was also doing these things. So he mentioned this particular method, which I have just shared the link. So folks, you can just check that out. That is particular tool, how people can manage their time, and I guess you can find the answer over there. And to be honest, I followed this, and it worked for me as well.
All right. Thank you. I can't see the link there. Is it there? Is there
Uh,
in
I have
the comments?
I've shared in the live stream. In the stream. Okay, I can just share here with you as well. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so let me just copy that. Makes sense. All right, thank you for that. Uh, when you were introducing yourself, you spoke about several communities that you've been part of, and several of them you were like the team lead and captain. So I want to guess, I want to believe that communities have played a very important part in your journey. Would you like to shed more light on that?
Sure. So I had very similar story as of Joshua. So I started a community when I was in my second year of college, and majorly, the major reason why I started was when I started asking seniors in my freshman year, hey, like what is Google Summer of Code, or how can I join a company for internships? Most of them just said, like, hey, there is no such way a freshman can do, but that's the reason. And when I came to my second year, I started getting resources from people I was talking to, and then I realized that there is a need of a community, right? Because when you are a part of a community, there are people who have the similar mindset. Because if you're around people who don't want to, be very ambitious driven, or they're eternally driven person, they will be like, so I'm just chilling out. Maybe you can just come with me. You can just chill out. We can just uh, have a very, like, what do I say, leisure time sort of thing together. So having the community helped me because I was able to form and found a lot of similar minded people who wanted to work with me. So with everything of my total journey, so one of the member which I found in my community and with whom I founded my community was Sumana, and she helped me with everything, be it internship or open source or anything. She has helped me in the process. And similarly, I met a lot of juniors who has been motivation to me and the way they work. So being in the community not only helps you to get to know about the opportunities, but you also get to understand about how things work. So now one of the most important things which every freshman should do is they should start taking part in hackathons. So when I started my college, like uh, I did not had much idea on how actually anyone can uh, build a product, or like how they can start the product development journey. Because a lot of you must be, budding entrepreneurs who want to build a tech startup, but you must be confused, how can I build a tech product, or how can I start my tech journey. So hackathons are the solution. Like, the culture of hackathons which uh, I had in my region, even India, it was not that great. Like, I guess one of the first hackathon which was organized in India was organized a few years back itself. So, but once the hackathon culture is, growing, a lot of developers and student developers, to be specific, have started understanding how an end-to-end product can be built and shipped to the market. So but the second advice which I want to talk to every freshman is, firstly, you learn how to code. And for coding, I just mentioned two ways: first, learn data structure algorithms, then go and watch Fireship's videos, find your domain, learn that particularly. And once you have learned the basics, I will just say, go and straight away and take part in hackathons. And even if you have no idea on how to build a website or how to write a simple program, you can just take part in a hackathon, and you can just have fun, right? Like, so I would just say, when you're just starting out, you can start with taking part in MLH hackathon. So maybe I can just share the link of MLH as well, and guys can check that out. So MLH, organizes a lot of weekend hackathons in which you can learn and grow. You can meet a lot of new people, and in the process, you can also learn the process, how other people are thinking, and how the other people and what kind of products they are building. And in the process, you can also build some of the products which you want to. So, if you are someone who wants to learn how software is developed and a product is shipped, or how a prototype is developed, or someone who wants to build a startup in in future, near future, hackathon is a solution. And even if you don't want to have your own startup, or if you don't want to own a company, or build something different, but if you want to have a decent job or a good job, you need a resume, right? So in resumes, the basic requirement that every company or everyone asks is projects. So hackathons, whenever you are taking part in a hackathon, people like, you will be developing something, and that counts as a product that you are developed, and that is a project which you mention in your resume, and that works. So
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, I think that was well said because I mentioned that you have a community acquisition, and I think I found out that you guys do more hackathons. Was that the motivation behind finding that community?
Yeah. Okay, so is there anything specific next which you want me to talk on, or should I, start speaking something on how you can just start with open source?
Yeah, so I was saying that you have a community that you founded when you, or what was the motivation behind the community? I found out that you guys do more hackathons and technical stuff. What was the motivation behind the community?
Okay, so it was, mostly finding the people who have the similar or right mindset what I have, and ultimately going together and building products. So, taking forward, folks, if you are in your freshman year, uh, I would just suggest every one of you to, you know, take part in hackathons and contribute to open source. So when I say contribute to open source, a lot of folks get scared, like, that there are a couple of questions. That is, firstly, where should I contribute, and secondly, how should I contribute? Like, because the code base is huge, and people get scared. Like, okay, so this is a lot of lines, and have no idea what exactly I should write. So people over there, just they feel they're just not ready to contribute. So for all of those things, uh, I have made a playlist which you can check that out as well, and you will be finding your answers over there. And talking about normally uh, you should take part and you should contribute to open source organizations, because that is something you can get to work around with people who are working in the industry for a long period of time. Because suppose if you are in a freshman year, and if you want to if you want to work with any particular MNC, so you need experience, right? But if you want to work with, and if you want to gain the experience, right, like if you want to simulate the particular MNC environment, like suppose if your dream company is Google, and if you want to work with folks from Google, you can just start contributing to Google's open source repositories, and you can meet a lot of folks who are software engineers and senior software engineers at Google. So you can simulate the environment where you will be working in a sort of corporate environment, because you will be having your mentors from that particular company. But along the same line, you will be having the total freedom of choosing the project you want to work on, and the what all things you want to work on. So those are the freedom, and the corporate fields make the open source one of the best thing people can do. Now, talking of all the particular questions, I will be just sharing the link with you folks, and maybe Joshua can have those links pasted in the description as well, so you can have them as a reference for later. So from this playlist, the major questions that anyone has is, how should I choose an organization? Post that, how should I make my first contribution? And after that, like if you're talking about Google Server of Code, one of the major question people have is, how should I write a proposal? So I have uh, mentioned all the key points, and you can find every them in small videos which are detailed in itself, and you can learn from that. So, Joshua, do we have any questions from you?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. You mentioned something quickly. You were saying something about how people need projects to, and hackathons can get you projects because you'll be building things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, as a beginner, the first thing that overwhelms you is, uh, okay, what do I even build? Not to even mention hackathons where you're building things under pressure. So, what would you advise someone that is just starting out? Like, how do you approach that? Like, how do you, from the point of looking at a stack to pig, or just from scratch, no knowledge of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, or Figma or anything? What would be the first thing you would advise someone to do?
Okay. So I will be sharing, the first hackathon experience which I had. Okay, so maybe you can just understand how you can anyone can take part in hackathons and they can win. So talking of my first hackathon, when I was just taking part, I started learning HTML. Okay, I had no idea about anything else. Like I have not even started learning JavaScript or C++. I just had basic knowledge of HTML, and it was one of the hackathons that was organized by MLS, and I went in. Okay, I went in straight, and I was just curious, because initially whenever someone says the word hackathon or hack, when we hear the word hack, we think it's something that hackers do. Like we need to we are hacking into a system, and it is very difficult. It is very scary. Like you need to be a computer master to do all those things. But hackathon is not what the term hacking, and like ethical hacking or is related to that. So it is something that you build on. You can build anything you want to. So it is like hacking the way into the problem statement, right? So in the first particular hackathon, when I had no idea, so initially what we did, we just planned, okay, so in case, even if we are not able to build a particular product, we will be building something in terms of say a PPT, or it can be just you are submitting an idea. So we will be doing that, and we will go out. So that was something we initially thought of. So what we landed up was uh, building a virtual classroom, because the first hackathon uh, which I took part was during the COVID period. So it was an online hackathon, and the track which we chose was uh, education. So at that point of time, we were having like how can the learning, the edtech industry can evolve. And so what we did, we built some AR VR model. It was, we gamified the educational system, and now like as they mentioned, like metaverse. So at that point of time, the concept of metaverse was not actually initiated, and but we started building with the particular educational, how can the edtech industry look in that. So we built that product, and we had no idea, no basic idea on uh, how even anyone can use Unity or what is AR/VR, because at that point of time the knowledge of AR what I had was it is the Snapchat filters what we use. So those are something that the most knowledge what I had was AR filters, like AR is a Snapchat filter. But post that I started learning, and then I proceeded further. So whenever you're taking part in a hackathon, the first thing you should do is you should think of the idea or think of the problem which you are solving, and post that you should think on what all things you need to build that. Saying, suppose the we choose one of the problem statement that is healthcare. So now the first thing will not be deciding the product on what all skill set we already know. Whenever we are thinking of an idea, we should think on, so okay, so this is the problem statement, and we first of all think an idea, and post that we think how can we build that. Now how you think of what you need to do or what the product is required. So suppose you choose healthcare as one of the tracks, and so you start listing out all the healthcare problems which you have seen till your lifetime. Like maybe you have seen XYZ problem. So now you think that okay, so I have seen this XYZ problem, and not only me, a lot of my folks and lot of my community members have also seen this particular healthcare problem. So now you think this is the problem, and then you try to bring a solution on that. So okay, so I can solve this particular problem via this method. Now, once you've thought of a solution, now you think, you break down the problem, okay, into smaller segments. Like suppose if you, when you think, okay, so I need to build some of the backend functionalities. Now, for building the backend functionalities, what I need to learn, you just write, you just Google things, and that is how you start Googling around, like, and you understand what all things you need to learn. And during the hackathon, 36 hours or 48 hours, whatever the coding period is, the ultimate aim is building the end-to-end product. The another major reason that anyone can and everyone should take part in hackathon is, even if you don't know any technical skills, you whenever in a hackathon people have the motivation, okay, so I need to win, right? And when you plan to win, you work hard, and you just, at least even if you're not winning the hackathon, at least you have a project ready and you have learned something new, and that is the progress that you should be looking up to. So take part in hackathons not with the focus of winning, but with the focus of learning and meeting new folks. So that's how anyone can uh, build anything in
Yeah,
hackathon. Yeah.
I think what you just described was one of the things now like super they ask you like to check what you always think about the
Um,
came about open source. And I remember that you
okay.
are you said you're in healthcare, yeah? And
Yeah.
I found out that in my unit we were talking so much about GSOC, we were also talking about just a little about things like that. Uh, I would the question I'm really trying to ask is open source. Open source, how what impact does it have on you personally? Because I think I saw a video where Kunal is like where Kunal Krishnan. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, so sorry, very. I said I was saying that open source seems to have played a lot of role in your journey currently. What would you
Yeah.
advise someone that is just starting out? How would you advise them to look at open source and start contributing, basically?
Okay. So firstly, I've shared the playlist, so folks do watch that. And talking, simply go and contribute. Okay, so how you start is basically open GitHub or GitLab. But when you're starting out, I would just suggest every one of you to start with GitHub. Okay, so in GitHub, what you do is basically go in GitHub, click on issues. Okay, and from there you can find a lot of issues. Like whenever you are starting out and you're a beginner, it might be a bit difficult with you to play around with the GitHub search bar and to find beginner friendly issues. So you can just type in Google good first issues, and whenever you are searching for the particular thing, good first issues, you will be able to find a lot of website that will be helping you around, in the lines that will be serving you good first issues. And when you open that particular website, you can choose what all particular tech stack and what all things you can. Suppose you are a JavaScript developer and suppose you want to develop something in JavaScript and you want an issue to be solved with JavaScript. So you go to the particular website, goodfirstissues.dev, you select JavaScript and then you scroll down and check out the issues. Like in that particular issue which you want to solve, just click on that. Now, suppose there might be two conditions. Firstly, you know how to solve the issue, well and good. Go for that. Ask the particular maintenance that, hey, I guess I can solve the particular issue. Can you please assign that to me? So it might be they will assign that to you, and post that, just go for it and solve it. Now the second thing is, you don't know how to solve it. Like, and when you don't know, it might be that you don't have the technical abilities, or there is any problem understanding the problem statement. Suppose you can just they have mentioned a particular thing which you have no idea. Suppose they have mentioned that there is a fix XYZ thing in a CI/CD pipeline. Now, as a beginner, it might be that you have no idea what a CI/CD pipeline means. So now you can just write over there, ki, hey, I'm interested in solving this particular issue. Can you send me some resources from where I can start reading about CI/CD and I can contribute further? So that is something you can surely do, and then the maintainer will share the resources, learn from that, and then you can just start contributing. And now, if you understand a particular product, like suppose if you are a musician and if you understand, and there is open source organization who is building a piano. So as a someone who has the domain knowledge, even you can start creating your own issues. And even if you don't know how to solve those particular issues, but if you are creating the issues, it is also counted as a contribution. And post that, start learning the technologies what they are using, and then again you start contributing back into the organization. So that is how you can start contributing into open source. And majorly open source, everything helps you to work with large code bases, work with the production environment. Because whenever you're building a college project, or when you are working in a group of friends, you are building a software that just works anyhow. But how one end-to-end solution that has been that is being used by a lot of folks, and if how that thing is taken care of, how all the endpoints, all the edge cases are tackled, that is something you should learn. And to learn those things, I would say open source is a great start, and everyone should start. And as I also mentioned, there are a lot of folks who just kept on contributing into a particular open source organization, and they got hired from there. So open source also creates a lot of hiring opportunities, and those hiring opportunities are highly paid with respect to the normal jobs what we can find over the web, I would say.
Yeah. In fact, did I mention that I actually maintain an open source project? There's an open source project I maintain. It has over 7.5 thousand stars GitHub currently. And I remember when I started contributing to it, I was just like, okay, I got to let me try to get some open source, right? Like, try to do some things as regards to open source. And I think that has really opened some opportunities and doors for me. So if you are listening and you are looking for a way to test what you already know, or to like uh, engage and actually see what it takes to build an actual software, open source is the best place and one of the very easiest place to get that experience. So, Aniket, quickly, you mentioned that you do technical writing, and
Yeah.
I've got loads of questions as regards that. Technical writing seems, on the outside, seems, would I want to say easy or hard, but we know it involves a lot of work because you're not just trying to understand something, you're trying to put it in a manner of which you can give it to somebody else and the person can understand. For a beginner, for somebody that just started in college and is looking to make some money, is looking to get started in technical writing, what sort of structure or advice or take would you tell this person? Assuming I am just asking you, oh, I think I found technical writing. What should I do?
Okay. So, talking about myself, I initially, my first language is not English, okay? My first language is Bengali because
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the place I belong from.
Okay.
So, I started learning English, when I was in my school because people start learning this for the professional conversations. So, when I came to my university, I realized that my English is not great. So, that is the reason I started learning about and I started writing more and more English. And then, the first thing which I wrote is "How is my university?" and I wrote that in Quora. And guess what? It had more than 200K views, and I was like, "Oh, so a lot of people are reading that." And that thing continued. Like with time, I started writing more and more answers. Like the next article which I published was "How is like hostel life in college?" So things like that. And post that I started enjoying the fact, and in the process I was also learning tech. And uh, whenever I'm a kind of person who don't like to answer same thing multiple times. So I just started writing the questions which I was getting, right? And so I started writing those. So the sort of Stack Overflow answers or Reddit answers, and people were liking that as well. Post that I started making people understand some of the things which I felt could have been explained in a simpler way. For example, software testing. So, uh, like when I started learning software testing, uh, I found it pretty difficult, to learn from the resources which were available. So I wrote a blog, and I wrote the blog in dev.to, and the blog was one of the top 7 articles in dev.to. So that's how the journey spoof. And post that, like initially when I started writing technical content, it was mostly what I was learning. I was writing that. Suppose it was the first day I'm learning about say JavaScript to making things simple, and then I came to know about the term that JavaScript is a single-threaded asynchronous language. So now I got the two terms. What is single-threaded and asynchronous. So I will just write a blog post on why is JavaScript known as this. So that is the kind of articles you should start writing and keep on writing. So the first thing which I did was I first started writing in Medium. So personally, I did not had a great experience with Medium because I was not getting a lot of generic reviews, or I was not getting a lot of good feedback. So I shifted to dev.to because some of my friends just mentioned that they are writing in dev.to, and people over there uh, they give negative as well as positive feedbacks. And I was like, yes, that is something I need. I need feedbacks. So I shifted to dev.to and I started writing articles over there. The community was pretty warm, like in dev.to people might just say that this is whatever you have written is not correct, or this is that, but that is the thing you learn from that. And I started writing the whole thing from there. And and I also started getting a lot of views. So what I did and what I did different to start earning money from that. So I was writing blogs and it was all same, be it any sort of blog. But one day I realized that okay, so I'm writing blogs, people are reading that, but why am I not getting approached by any company? So what I did was in the outro section, like I always used to write an outro, like it is basically a conclusion sort of a section in which I mentioned, ki, hey, I can write blogs for you. So if you want me to write blogs for you, you can just hit me up. So that is something. Okay, so maybe I can just get the exact text. You can just copy paste that when you are writing your next blog, and I was shocked. People started actually approaching me, and they're like, "Hey, I run a company, and do you mind writing for me?" And so this is how it started. So I will be sharing the exact text. So maybe Joshua can share that with you all. And so this is the blog post as well. Trust me, and this helped me on a lot of things. So this was the three-liner that changed my content writing for me. This particular 3 lines helped me earn a lot of dollars. So that is something people want, actually, like whenever there is a particular company or a particular startup, they want people who can tell the world about their product. And and people, because see, like with the current what do I say, the current environment with ChatGPT and its corresponding powers, people might feel that technical content writing will be diminished, and people won't be able to actually write and earn money as a technical content writer. But trust me, even 2 days back, I got an offer that you can just write this particular video, and you can just make this video for us. We are happy to pay you. So because ChatGPT is a web scraping tool which has some LLM properties with it, so it will not be giving you a personal touch. Like whenever I'm writing, I can have my own set of data. Suppose if I want to explain anyone what is Docker, so I can just correlate Docker with a pizza, and I can just write things like how can and I can make people understand how making a pizza or the tomatoes or the pieces of chicken on it can be compared with the containers and everything. So that is how the creative writing segment comes in. And in that, even if ChatGPT is a really powerful tool, but it cannot suppress technical writers, at least in this segment and in this time. It might take some time to bring in the personal touch, but talking about the current scenario, it will need some time. So you can just start earning money, and this is the exact 3 lines to which I wrote, and it worked for me.
Yeah, thank you, Aniket. There's a resource that I found online that has lists of technical writing programs that community have. I think I should just share that. So, in case you're looking to get started with community writing and technical writing, sorry, you're looking for which company offers these services and you want to write for them and get paid. You can reach out to Aniket on LinkedIn to ask if you have any questions, but you can also check out this GitHub program and this GitHub repo. It contains a list of companies that offer community writing programs. And so you see, I think I should just let me just share my screen quickly and just like point it out. All right, present
Yeah,
it.
and even folks, like I keep on sharing about such opportunities. So I guess the links Joshua has also mentioned in the description. So do check that out, and if possible, subscribe to my channel, because I will be sharing a lot of tricks and tips on how you can earn money and how you can be financially independent in your college. So I will be sharing a lot, tips and tricks, and I will be sharing opportunities. So try to follow me in Twitter as well, so maybe you can also get some resources in the process. So yeah, this is the exact thing which I shared, Joshua.
Okay, you see,
Yeah.
so several companies with their like the amounts they pay per article. So for example, Abstract API pays $100 per article. Adam the Automator, you say the exact price that they pay for you writing for their program. So in case you're interested in this sort of thing, you can check out that link. It contains a list. And technical writing is one of the ways people can make money. Campers, ways to supplement salaries and all that stuff. Aniket, you have some articles you've written, right? I think I shared that, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
I actually even share this particular link with the folks. Like
this particular
uh,
link.
yeah,
Okay.
I also just wanted them to know this.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, talking of my profile, you can just check this out. Like in my dev.to account maybe, and I guess that works. Like you can at least get some from here. Like I shared in the YouTube live chat. Yeah.
Now, this has been very helpful. Thank you so much for all the impact you've had for us. Co- More, I think we are at the stage of the conversation where we need to talk about communities, and most especially once you found a community that you're in, how exactly do you make the community work for you? Because there are several communities on campus, and they offer events, do a lot of things. How do you make such communities work for you and get the full essence of those communities?
Okay. Uh, I actually, there is. I didn't have this thought actually. It never came, and actually, the main focus was keep working. I never actually thought anything of getting back from it, but luck favored me, and it helped me a lot of process. Like, small things made things change. For example, when I was applying for GitHub Campus Expert, uh, it was possible because I had founded WebWiz, and I organized one of the largest hackathons in Eastern India. So those two things was like forming WebWiz was only possible because my members stayed with me. Like, as of now, there is a group of like 181 people who are active, and they're working towards making the community better. And moreover, the hackathon which I organized was only possible because I had the people in the community backing me. Like, if you talk me as a single person, it would have been not at all possible for me to organize such events. And when I organized Hack Odisha, there were companies who were reaching out to me like, hey, it was really good to see that you have organized this particular hackathon. Do you mind if you can organize a hackathon for me? We are ready to pay you some amount of money. So this also happened for me, and I'm not lying. If you want, I can share the screenshots as well. So yeah, so even when you're doing good and when you're sharing in public, so that is important. Like, maybe you are one of the best developers, or you maybe one of the best technical writers, but if you're not sharing in public, people might not know that you exist, right? So I follow one of the Indian tech YouTubers named Kunal Kushwa. I have learned a lot from him, and he always mentioned that learning in public can really change things, and I followed that, and it has changed. Like, initially, what all things I had,
I'm here.
okay. Initially the thought of uh, learning in public, the first thought which it occurred to me, like, I'm boasting myself, and people might be like, okay, so he is just over boasting, he has no idea, and he's just saying, sharing every single thing what he's doing. But trust me, whenever you are sharing a blog which you have written, or a tutorial which you have written, and people read that, things start changing for you. So sharing in public is pretty important. So yeah, and that's how I guess a total community, not only just the close knit, university community, but even any community, like your Twitter community or your LinkedIn community, can help you grow. So those are something, some of the ways, Joshua, that community has helped me.
Thank you. There's a particular thing you said just now that I think I want to really buttress. I wanted you to buttress more on. You mentioned that you uh, essentially you organize events and community programs, and I know that there are several resources that. How did you get started with organizing all those programs? Like, what inspired you? Because when I also mentioned very early on the stage that your profile was what drew me to you, because I saw several titles, and what was the drive and the motivation for you to do all these things?
Okay. Okay, so I will start with the conversation we had yesterday. So Joshua just told me that whenever we are seeing any global program, we can just see 80 to 90% of the folks who are applying are Indians, right? And he was curious to know, like, hey, bro, like, what's the reason, like, what's the drive that people are having in India that we don't know, and what even like made you drive me? So there is the instinct to survive, Talking of my background, I don't have a family run business, and my parents are like working as teachers for government. So I don't have a lot of money that is backing me. So I just needed to do something to earn my bread and butter. And I like to read about, and I like to read news. I like to read about geopolitics and everything. So I realized that to survive I need to earn money, and for earning money you need to be someone who has some skills. Because I just read some statistics that there the number of people who graduate, from that only 4% of them are employable. So I just wanted myself to get counted in the particular 4%, that that I am eligible to earn money, and I am eligible to work. So that's something initially pushed me to learn something, because it was, I never wanted to be, I never wanted, like, I know I don't have the capabilities as well to be one of the best programmers or one of the best technical writers. Or I never wanted to be the best. I always wanted to survive, and when I survive, I just push my goals a bit higher. So that is something I do. It is not like, just like, for example, if I made one company collaboration, like, okay, so I am done. No, I want it to be 10, and when I achieve the 10th company collaboration, it will be 100 for me. So that is, I keep on pushing my goal, because then I keep competing with myself, because I always believe that if you compete with someone else, the feeling of jealousy is, I know, and it will come by, like, okay, so he is doing or she is doing this much, I'm not able to compete, so now I will try to drag him or her down. So that's something I never believe in, right? I believe in competing with yourself. Face yourself in the mirror and say, like, okay, so this is the person you need to beat this morning, and you start your day with that. So that's something I've always believed in, Joshua, and like, that is something driven me. And I guess it is just the start. I plan to achieve a lot of things, and I hope one day I will be sharing this my journey with you again.
That's thank you. All right. So somebody's asking in the chat and saying, let me just pop up the question so we can see it. It's saying, what books would you recommend for a growing dev? Do you have any books you've read personally that you like?
Okay, to be honest, since I don't have my major in computer science, I have not read books. It was mostly, blogs which I prefer reading. So the favorite what I have is, like, I love reading blogs from DigitalOcean and Harness. So that's the thing. And I have not read actually books related to dev. I read personal finance books. Okay, so that's something uh, I like to read, but not, such computer books sort of, yeah. But you can also read, like,
Okay.
Farhan. I guess you can just read blogs from two, three, uh, like, we can just name them. Like, first you can read from DigitalOcean, you can read from Harness, and you can read from Semaphore CI. So these are the three things which I personally prefer, and I keep on reading, and to keep myself updated, because personally, what I believe, the way traditional books are written, it should be changed. So even I am trying to start a sort of project with a particular organization, in which I will just start revamping the book publishing industry. I just, want to change the way it is done, and I am in talk with that. So because I believe, once book is written, things change. Like, so you cannot buy every version of the particular book, right? Because there might be some errors, or there might be something which has updated. So it is best to read things on the internet. So the best way to keep yourself updated with everything is, I use a extension that is daily.dev. So I would just suggest you to install that, because daily.dev will help you to read, the top voted, what do I say, blogs, and you can just get yourself things like, yeah, I guess that works.
All right. Okay. All right. So, thank you so much for that. So you can, well, personally, I wouldn't say I've read any books too, but I think I read articles a lot. Like I read blog posts because I just enjoy reading. I have like my Chrome is set up in such a way that every day there are like these new blog posts from Free Code Camp, from Dev2, from Medium. So once in a while during the day, I just hop in there and check something out. And there's one particular person, I can't remember his name, but I would love reading his blog post. He writes so well, and its articles are always so detailed. So the question about books and all just popped in my mind. Have you ever do DSA, data structures and algorithms? Because that's one of the topics that when you're trying to get jobs, you have to go through. There's a particular book called Cracking the Algorithms,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's an old textbook about arrays, data structures, big numbers. What would you say? Do you think have you done DSA, and what's your take on that? Or a
Okay.
new? beginner that started. Yeah.
Okay. I did DSA. Okay, I did a lot of data structure algorithm questions. So majorly I was lead coding, but and I was solving. There is a famous sheet, like it is a 450 questions that we have in India, that is made by an YouTuber, I guess, enough what they call him. So there is a 450 set of questions, and it is suggested that if you solve all those 450 questions, there is no such questions that you will be facing in normal interviews. We are not talking about Google, Uber, or HFTs, but in normal companies, you can have your basics very much clear. So once you do solve those all 450 problems, if you have strong grasp on the DSA questions, and majorly since I was developing and I was contributing to open source a lot, so it helped me, keeping myself in touch with the coding and everything. So yeah, that was what I was doing, and generally I used to do DSA just before my interviews. I don't have, I would say, the patience on solving each and every day a particular DSA question. So that is something like I lack. I don't have that much patience to solve DSA question each and every day. But yeah, if you talk about any interview, I will just revise the concepts, and I will be working 10 or 15 hours a day, and I will just make sure that I am able to do good in interviews. So yeah, that's how I do.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for just breaking that up. You know what, Anike, while I was preparing for this talk, I stumbled on a resource. Let me just share my screen quickly. That particular one. So you see presenter. Just so I want to have you see. Okay, so this particular one. So it's a resource that says A to Z resources for students. And honestly, while I was going through this, I was like, wow, what? So it's like a bank or something like that that like lists hackathons and events, benefits and program, open source programs, developer clubs. It's like a big resource for students that if you're if you're just starting out, you would want to just check this out to like get a direction or just to see what is available for you. Have you come across this resource, Aniket?
Yeah, I am not sure, but I guess I contributed over here because I just started my open source journey with Hacktoberfest, and I guess this particular repository had, I am not sure about this, but I guess I contributed something similar, some similar, this sort of thing. Yeah. So yeah, this is particularly nice. Initially we also started A to Z thing in our university, where we listed everything someone needs in the university. So also Joshua, like if you think of in your university, you can also make something like this, wherein people can know about the students. So people, they can get in touch, a sort of community, and can list all the club leads. That was what we did. You can make online notice board sort of a thing wherein people get sort of. So that was something we initially planned and we tried to do with the A to Z thing. And yeah, this is one of the best resources. I have stumbled upon this couple of times. And you can see that stars, right? It's 15.2K. So a lot of people have used this, and I really liked it, right?
Yeah. Mhm. So let me just go back to. So I got a couple of questions from people before the call. When I was preparing for the event, I was like, okay, what questions would you like to ask? So there's this question that I think at some point we would need to answer. So it's saying, what are you, what are your advices for someone that don't have a laptop but wants to get into tech?
Okay. So firstly, for that, I built a product for people who don't have a laptop and they want to start their tech journey. So it was a I built out, and for that I built actually the prototype, not the complete end-to-end solution. And IBM funded for the project, and they wanted it to be a full forward solution, but that needs time. And if you're someone who don't have a laptop, I would just say you can start with. Uh, uh, it will be difficult for you, but what you can do is you can start learning from your phone, because with your phone you can learn, and you can just I would say what you can do is start with graphic designing or technical writing, start earning money, buy a laptop and then start coding because it will be easier for you. Else you can run a lot of online code compiler and editors where you can code, but with a small screen it will be difficult for you to do. So you can just write in a piece of paper and then you can do. So that is the product actually what I was building, that people who don't have a laptop can just write code in a piece of paper. They can take photo with that. So I have the open source code as well for that. Maybe if you can check that out. So I have the it is half baked. It is not fully working, so it won't be that useful. But once it is done, I guess people can just write code in a piece of paper. Then they can click the photo, and it will be in their phone, and then they can just do the minor edits and can compile over there. But yeah, I would just say start with graphics or content, make some money, buy a laptop because there are companies, or I would say just earn a little bit of money and buy a second-hand laptop. That also works because suppose that you can just pay back the money or you can do EMI thing. I don't know if EMI works at your end, but it works in India. A lot of people take things on EMI and they pay a bit every month.
In fact, that's one way to go about it, really. But there's this thing that I often see on Twitter. There are communities and organizations that they do giveaways, and
Hmm.
like every year or quarterly or periodically, you will just see tweets going around there. People that if you are trying to get into tech and you need a laptop, you should apply or show something. So I think what you're just saying just shows the fact that you need to start doing something, and then when they ask for these things, you have something to prove that you have actually started learning, and you need to you need a
Upgrade
laptop
yourself.
and they can offer it to you. So the next question, exactly, the next question that we get is which language would you suggest is best to study? This coming from Victor, so he's saying what language would you suggest is best to study?
Okay, so if you're starting out, uh, start with Java or C++. So because both of them are, because I have seen a lot of folks starting with Python because Python is a pretty easy to learn language because most it is particularly module based, right? And it is not much difficult to learn because everything is just using this particular module and it's get compiled. No, but whenever you want to understand and if you want to get into tech properly, it is actually better to start with Java or C++ because you will have a good hold in that because you will understand how the system works at its core, and then it's better to shift. So for me, do Java or C++, but personally I prefer Java because when I was working with big organizations or big tech companies, then they were using that like Java. So legacy code bases, e-commerce, a lot of e-commerce platforms are also have Java. So start with Java, and if you don't get much resources on Java, you can go for C++.
All right, so I hope that answers the question. So I hope that answers your question, Victor. I also have another question here that is saying this is particular to the community. It's saying what do we stand to gain in this community? And I will just paint that till a later time when we are done with this particular conversation because I know that it's 2 a.m. at your place. I wouldn't want to tie you down. So this saying, how do you prioritize school and tech skills with scarce and dependent resources? So this is by Bright, and it's saying, how would you prioritize school and your growth as a tech person with when you have the resources that are not as plenty as they should be?
Okay, so to learn to code, I actually never paid a single amount of money. Okay, so everything was free, like free code camp or all the YouTube channels which I did. I never bought a single course or I never paid for any single thing. Uh, so it was how it was. And talking of that, like of the time management, and even you need not buy anything. Like everything on the web is free, and you can just check any of the resources if you want to, and you can just start with it. Okay, so you should not buy anything. And in case you feel there is a need of a particular course that is not yet done, feel free to reach me out. I will try to make the course. Maybe I can help that out with the folks because whatever I have seen, like be it game dev, uh, be it AR/VR, be it app or anything, everything has a solution. Like even things like DevOps, and because a lot of people don't speak about DevOps, so Take with Nana is one of the best channels you can find on the internet, and she explains top level content, and it is free. It is free, really, it is free, and she's not charging a single amount of money. If you talk of data science algorithms, Kunal Kushwaha has made a lot of videos with Java, and it is free of cost. People are not charging money, so you did not pay a single amount of money to you know what do I say, like to and buy any course. Like even I was planning to make some advanced backend resources, for example, like uh, about Nginx, how to use Flame Graph. I was trying to do that, but before I guess I should make also some beginner friendly videos which can help a lot of beginners to start with. So everything on the online you can find everything for free. You should not buy any single thing. And now talking of the time management part, to be very honest, it is particularly difficult, but as I mentioned, I have already shared a particular video link, so you might just check that out. I hope this works. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Joshua. It was really nice. I really like the questions and interacting with you. I also like the lights which are blinking, multicolored lights. It is really cool to see that. And I really like the music also which you were playing in the background. So thanks a lot for having me. It really means a lot.
Eh, thank you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. So there was a question. There was a question that someone asked earlier, which you gave a very, very wonderful answer to. And the person is asking again, like, let me just put it on screen so that we can all see. It's saying to get into Fang or other big techs, Meta, Facebook, OpenAI. It's saying languages like Java, C Sharp, C or Python compulsory, and he says he often sees them in applications, and that is true. Like at this purpose, I write JavaScript primarily. Can I get into Fang?
Okay, I don't know because generally, like coding. Now, if you are see the majorly what Fang or general big tech companies, they see your problem solving ability, right? Uh, and I have whenever I've seen OTs, okay, I have not given personally OTs for Fang, but I was planning to do, but I'm not sure if I want to get into Fang right away. But whenever I have seen some of my friends who just applying for Fang rounds, they they have the options. I guess you can choose from an array of 34 languages and you can just code. So you can code with JavaScript and everything. But the major bottleneck which I have seen is, firstly, people like because if you have ever tried you know doing a bit of commodity programming, you can just check that there is a time limit. And JavaScript is a slow compiled language with respect to C++ or by Java. So whenever you're writing a code in JavaScript, it might be that you are having the TLE error, that is time limit exceeded, because the time that JavaScript takes is a bit more. So it might hit because generally the memory allocation and the time allocation that goes around is for generally for Java or C++, and it often works for Python, but for JavaScript it might be an issue. And even I have not tried doing a lot of dynamic programming or graphs questions with JavaScript, but I'm pretty sure you can surely do that. But I would say it is not tough. Start with Java or C++. Any of the language. You need not learn all the languages. Have a good hold of any of either Java or C++, and it will be all good for you. Like any of them, either Java or C++, it works.
Okay. Any of Java or C++. Okay, so that means I need to go back and, and start learning again. All right. Okay. Uh, that's scary. All right. Aniket, you are a GitHub. You were, or you are a GitHub campus expert, and I think I found out about the GitHub Student Developer Park sometimes in 2022, and that's like one of the most comprehensive and most one of the biggest resource that you can have. Sorry, I had to quickly attend to something. Sorry. All right, so I was saying, can you talk about the GitHub Student Park a bit? Quickly?
Okay, so it's basically any student, anyone can. Okay, so if you're a university student, you can access the GitHub Student Developer Pack. Okay, and they have a bunch of resources, starting from designing. Suppose like StreamYard, like this particular streaming platform which Joshua is currently using, is also was included in his GitHub Student Developer Pack. So it offers, I guess, around $50,000. I'm not sure about the number, but $50,000 total token amount of money it's offering free to students. So everyone should just go check out the resources, because uh, it is really great. Initially they also had partnered with Canva, and when they partnered with Canva, Canva was giving away the premium Canva free to every student who had the pack, and in the process, I earned a lot of money using Canva's premium graphics. So it is good. It is really great. Like, even you can, if you use those particular resources properly, you can earn some amount of money. So this is something you need to look upon, and yeah.
Let me just, I would just, let me just pop the link into the chat. So if you are, let me just do that quickly. This is one of the biggest and the most comprehensive pack of free items that you can get as a student. It contains, I think, you can get a free domain. You can get
Hosting.
access to front end masters. Like front end masters is one of the, like, you get senior engineers taking courses to scale. It's one of the finest and I think the most thoughtful pack that you can ever have access to, and it's free. So you just need to apply. I think we're gonna have on that event to show how to apply to that with as regards to our community. But this is one of the you really want to try it out. So there's a question here too from before the event, and the person is saying that a technical writing, that how do you what is it like to apply to technical writing programs? I think because the what we spoke about, like, what does it take,
Yeah.
like how do you approach these technical writing programs and say you want to write?
Okay, so I guess we have halfway answered his question like before, because when you showed the resources, and now how you approach is, it is like, it's just like freelancing. It is, when freelancing, when you approach a client, it is, just like selling yourself off as a product. So you mention them why they should hire you, right? Or it is basically this thing like why they should buy you, is like that. And so whenever you're approaching, just tell them like, hey, like the reason, to introduce yourself a bit, write why you started uh, technical writing, give them the particular experience or the blogs and everything which you have written till date, and at the end mention that you want to work for them, and so please hire me. Like, this is a sort of format you can use to reach out to any particular company. So if you want, I can share the particular format. So subscribe to my channel. I will be sharing that soon. And like, how to reach to freelancer, and how to get how to become a freelancer, how to get your first client. So I have planned those kind of videos, so I will be posting them shortly. And even for technical writing, one of the best programs is Google Season of Docs. So I have recorded a podcast recently, which I will be posting soon. So also to check out, how to get into Google Season of Docs. Also subscribe my channel. So yeah, thanks a lot for this, and it's pretty late at
Thank
my end, but it was really exciting to speak.
Yeah,
It was. It's thanks a lot.
thank you, Aniket. This was a wonderful session. We will probably have you over again to talk about some things deeper, but thank you so much for having this time with us, and we uh, we appreciate, and we will just let you go now. Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Enjoy the
you.
rest of your evening. Yeah. All right, guys. So that was a very powerful session, and we have discussed a lot of topics about getting started, what you need to do, technical writing, about open source, and hopefully you've gotten value from these conversations. We are trying as much as possible. We are making sure that what we are offering are the things you need. We want to create events. We want to offer value that you can use to grow. And that is one of the very essence of CESA community that we are putting together. Sorry. These are community driven events. So if this has been any value to you, you can comment in the chat section, and you could drop your questions for our next event so that we can send them to Aniket, and he probably give us an answer and we can get back to you about it. The description contains the link to the Discord community and also the WhatsApp announcement group. So if you want to be part of this community, which I believe after this you should be, you can just join us there and we can put together our next event based on your requirement. What are the questions that you want answered? And this has been a wonderful experience with you guys. Thank you for coming and listening and engaging and asking questions. We hope that this has offered you value. And on that note, I want to say that our next event is going to be coming probably um, 2 weeks' time or very soon. We don't know yet, but we are going to be creating events that are value packed and having conversations. Join us in Discord if you want to get all the goodies. You want to be part of this. Join us in Discord and also join the WhatsApp. Just the description, and also you can connect with Aniket. His LinkedIn is there. Is what he has a YouTube channel. So in case you want to listen, open source and all that, you can uh, go to him and ask him questions, and he will definitely answer you. Thank you so much for joining. On this note, I want to say it's a wonderful time, and see you in our next conversation. Have a good night.